Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Black Adam to take on the entire DCEU. Well, that's not too much of a surprise. I mean, the guy kept talking about the hierarchy of power within the DC universe was going to change with his arrival. And I guess the idea is that his movie is supposed to be the springboard for the new direction for the DCEU cinematic franchise. And I don't know if this is supposed to be the beginning of the 10-year plan that Zaslav spoke to. Because, I mean, the Black Adam film, along with The Flash and Aquaman, are the leftovers of the previous regime. But, of course, there's reshoots galore. So perhaps that is to get it into that position. But then again, it might have been part of the plan going forward anyway, that Black Adam would be heavily involved with the other films, I guess. So apparently the ultimate idea is that he wants a movie, and I've heard him mention this in some other interviews about possibly Black Adam taking on the Justice League and stuff like that. So now the idea is that he's already going to face off against the Justice Society in his own film. So the idea there would be this film where it's Black Adam versus the Justice League, the Justice Society, and the Suicide Squad. because he can do it all. And I don't know if he'll form his Black Adam family. In the comics, he gets Isis as his wife or girlfriend, what have you, and then they have two sons. I didn't follow it closely enough if this was representative of their actual sons or if it's two kids they adopted, two boys, and then they're granted Shazam powers via Black Adam. Perhaps that's the deal. I don't know. But maybe he'll have that little force going. But primarily, he's just, I think it'll establish it that he just wants to rule his country there, Kondak, the fictional country. And this creates problems as they go along. And perhaps this could be a road to Apocalypse and Darkseid and all of that, because there are aspects of that even in his own film where Intergang makes an appearance, and of course their connections to Apocalypse. So would it be, it's restoring the Snyderverse? Well, an aspect of it, because again, it depends on what your definition is. They're continuing with primarily the cast established from the Snyder films, so you can claim that as that the Snyderverse didn't need to be restored. It never really left. As far as where they were going to go with those Justice League sequels, perhaps they'll get there, but it just won't be quite the way they were intending. And that's already the case. Even the little tidbits that Snyder himself has spoken to, it wouldn't be the initial direction that they were going to go with. Most notably, the business of Lois giving birth to Batman's child and all that. And that's, oh God, that's stupid. So, but all in all, the nightmare future and whatnot, that actually plays into DC Comics lore. Final Crisis did that, and of course, people refer to the Thanksgiving picture that Snyder put out, where there's, oh look, it's a copy of Final Crisis on his table. Referring to the Great Disaster, which was something of lore that came out of Jack Kirby. All roads lead to Kirby, of course. For the series Commandy, like, something terrible happened, and he was the last human boy on Earth, and he had adventures, with sort of these talking animals who were half man, half beast, and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, Grant Morrison, I believe, came in and decided to, solidify all of that, and that the great disaster that it referred to was Darkseid conquering the Earth, and the aftermath being a world that Commandy grows up in. Well, So that was Final Crisis, and of course, Darkseid was defeated. And this timeline, I guess, suggests never happened, or it's splintered off into its own, multiversal timeline, what have you. But nevertheless, some form of action of that could be the looming doom that they're facing as they go forward with their films, and they don't have to know exactly how they get there at the moment, but they could eventually get there. And that Black Adam's arrival might signal this. And there are scenes in the teasers and trailers of Dr. Fate having a vision. Now, some have suggested he's having the same vision that Batman did, that it's the nightmare world of great destruction. It shows an explosion. I don't know that, but you could, if they want to, they can utilize that and form a new story out of it. Then that's what Dr. Fate's concerned about in the Black Adam film, and maybe that's the case. But this all hinges on the Black Adam film doing well. The problem for it is most moviegoers don't know anything about Black Adam. There's nothing recognizable about it. There's nothing recognizable about the Justice Society. A comic book nerd like myself is, oh, this looks cool. But, that's a small portion of the audience. The only real hype going is everyone hoping that Henry Cavill shows up as Superman, even if it's only a quick cameo scene with hopefully a little bit of dialogue and all that stuff. That this would signal the return of Henry Cavill as Superman, in the hopes that there would be more Superman going forward. That would be great. That would make perfect sense if they've been able to work out a deal with him. That would be a big boost to the overall shared universe franchise that Warner Brothers is desperately trying to forge here. If it's not, even if it's a body double or one of those things, the poor film is probably going to collapse within its first week. And despite it being Dwayne Johnson in it, he's got a following, and maybe that could pay off and it could limp to the finish line. But I think it needs to do a lot more than that. And if it does, then this increases the power that Dwayne Johnson would have over this franchise. I don't think that means he becomes their long sought after overlord. The whole thing. It looks like that's going to just stick with DeLuca and Abdi. And, all they have to do is be the managers of this. And if they do it and they hire the right people, then, it's fine. But Dwayne Johnson would have a big voice in it. And with him already there, it stands to reason that this Superman deal probably did happen. We'll know very shortly. So there's reasons for that alone to suspect that something like this can happen. So the sad thing about it is that even if the film is good, with no Henry Cavill Superman, boy, and like I said, even if it's a body double who kind of resembles him, but we see him in shadows or whatever, and that sort of thing, and has no dialogue, that's not going to be good enough. That's too many teases, and it's like, what's going on? No, and it's just going to be a big letdown because the first people who see it will say it. Yeah, he's not in it. And everyone's like, oh, damn. Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I'll watch it when it's on HBO Max or something. That's not good. You want them to show up and see this film in as many numbers as possible, of course. So that could be the deal. And you already had the stage being set you can see it within the trailers and teasers. Amanda Waller is in it. This sets up the possibilities of Black Adam and perhaps other characters introduced in this film crossing over with Suicide Squad projects and what have you. And then eventually Justice League. And, of course, Justice League, you see Amanda Waller's computer screen. Her list of go-to superpowered people. The Justice League, is in her contacts. And so there you go. So there is something to this. But, of course, if this thing crashes and burns, it's over. If it does good, maybe the door is still open for it. Of course, it really needs to be the surprise hit. But it's got an uphill battle to go. Of course, if you've got Henry Cavill Superman in there, then that's going to be a big boost, and might just push it all the way to the top for for the numbers they need for them to say, okay, we're on our way back. And then hope against hope that nothing bad anymore or any more nastiness comes out about Ezra Miller, and then they can get to that Flash movie, because the Flash movie is even more important. Even though they've changed course and everything, it's still the big reset movie for the DCEU, for whatever you will see in it. There are now rumors, this is rumors, of course, that Henry Cavill will be in that one as well, and that's been going on for quite a while, and that he actually will have a scene with Supergirl, the Sasha Calle Supergirl, and they'll meet, and then that leaves the groundwork for potential films between the two. So I want Henry Cavill to get his Superman film, but a Supergirl film is fine, and especially even better with him in it, because that's the actual story of Supergirl, of her relationship with her cousin Kal-El and all that stuff. And so that would be great. That'd be spot on and really good. But again, all things hinge on this. As far as the Black Adam's place in it could diminish, but if the Flash shows up and outperforms expectations and outperforms Black Adam, then they could still go with some of this, and they got Henry Cavill in it, then yeah, that would be really great. They got Ben Affleck in it, and he's going to be an Aquaman, and so there's still these chances of boosts and bursts and whatnot. Of course, the films, they got to be good too, but so there's opportunity there as far as The Rock's master plan or whatever. He's got to deliver a hit film. If he doesn't, then whatever his directions were or whatnot probably won't arrive. But also the idea of Henry Cavill showing up in The Flash, if he's not in Black Adam, odds are those rumors were false as well, that he will not be in there and he will not interact with Supergirl, which would be very sad. But anyway, this looks to be some idea of a map, if you will, of where they're going to go in the next 10 years, if they can launch. And they're still stuck with these leftover films. But if they've, to quote Zaslav, made them better, i.e. reshoots, then good. Because right now, I don't see any signs Marvel is going to get any better anytime soon. Looking really bad. So DC, this is your opportunity. And it's like they deliberately did it just for you. Are you gonna, break the curse and no longer snatch, defeat from the jaws of victory? Well, we'll find out.